Dear friends, in today's session, we will discuss literary terms that are prescribed for BA first semester. Allegory. Allegory in English literature is a narrative technique where characters, events, and settings symbolically represent abstract ideas, concepts, or historical events to convey a deeper moral or political message, as seen in works like George Orwell's Animal Farm and John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress. It creates a layered meaning beneath the surface of a straightforward story, often to teach a lesson or offer commentary on societal truths. How allegory works: symbolic representation. Characters and actions in an allegory are not just themselves but also stand for something else. For example, in Animal Farm, the pig Napoleon symbolizes Joseph Stalin, representing political corruption and tyranny. Layered meanings. There are at least two distinct meanings to an allegorical work: the literal story and the hidden symbolic meaning. Moral or political commentary. Allegories often serve to convey a moral lesson or a critical perspective on social, religious, or political realities. Examples in English literature: Animal Farm by George Orwell. This novella uses farm animals to represent figures and events of the Russian Revolution, critiquing the corruption of power and ideals. The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, a classic example where the protagonist, Christian, and his journey to the celestial city represent the spiritual journey of a Christian to salvation, with various obstacles symbolizing temptations and distractions. Fables and parables. These shorter forms of storytelling are often allegorical, with animal characters, fables, or simple narratives, parables conveying specific moral or spiritual insights. For instance, The Tortoise and the Hare is a fable that teaches the moral that slow and steady wins the race. The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser. This epic poem uses characters to embody virtues, such as holiness and temperance, to teach moral lessons. Purpose of allegory. Teaching and morality, to impart moral or spiritual lessons in an accessible and engaging way. Social and political critique, to comment on complex societal issues or historical events without being overtly explicit. Enhanced richness, to add depth and layers of meaning, making a narrative richer and more thought-provoking for the reader. 2. Simile. A simile is a figure of speech that compares two unlike things using the words like or as to create a vivid description. These comparisons make writing more engaging and relatable by helping readers visualize abstract concepts or strengthen concrete images. Examples include as quiet as a mouse, as cold as ice, or the leaves fell like tears. Definition: a simile directly compares two different things, highlighting a shared quality by explicitly using like or as. Purpose: it makes descriptions more vivid and helps readers understand complex ideas by relating them to something familiar. Examples: he was drawn to the ocean like a moth to a flame. She is as brave as a lion. The water was as clear as glass. How it works: by linking two unrelated things like a person and a flame, or a girl and a lion, the simile emphasizes a specific trait, such as attraction or bravery. Origin: the word simile comes from the Latin word similis, meaning similar or like. Metaphor. In English literature, a metaphor is a figure of speech that makes a direct, non-literal comparison between two unlike things by stating that one is the other, rather than like or as another. This literary device adds depth, beauty, and clarity by drawing on the qualities of the compared object to create vivid imagery, express complex ideas, and evoke emotions for the reader. How metaphors work: direct comparison. Instead of saying life is like a roller coaster, a metaphor states life is a roller coaster. Implied qualities: the comparison highlights shared qualities. Saying Jim is a giraffe implies Jim is tall just as a giraffe is tall. Figurative language. Metaphors are not meant to be interpreted literally, but to create an imaginative and expressive connection. Why writers use metaphors, vivid imagery. They help paint pictures with words, creating strong visual or emotional impressions, expressing complex ideas. Metaphors provide an artistic way to convey abstract concepts, emotions, or complex ideas in a more engaging way. Adding depth, they enhance sentences and can make a written piece more memorable. Different angles. Metaphors allow readers to view subjects from fresh perspectives by connecting unrelated elements. Examples in English literature: Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, it is the East and Juliet is the sun. Here, Juliet is directly compared to the sun, suggesting her brilliance and central role in the speaker's world. Emily Dickinson's Hope. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. Hope is presented as a bird that lives within a person's spirit. William Golding's Lord of the Flies. The sun in the west was a drop of burning gold that slid near and nearer the sill of the world. This metaphor compares the sun to a drop of gold, emphasizing its beauty and dwindling light. 4. Metonymy. Metonymy in English literature is a figure of speech that replaces a concept with a word too closely associated with it, allowing for more vivid and concise writing. For example, a writer might use the crown to stand for the monarchy, the White House for the US president and their administration, or ears to signify attention. Literary authors use metonymy to add flavor, avoid repetition, and make complex ideas more powerful and efficient. How metonymy is used in literature to stand in for an abstract concept. A concrete object can represent an abstract idea. For example, cradle for birth and grave for death in the phrase from the cradle to the grave. To represent an institution or power structure, a physical location can stand for the people or organization that inhabits it. The crown for the monarchy, the White House for the presidential administration, Georgia for the government and citizens of Georgia. To represent a group of people, a common attribute is used to represent a whole group. Suits for business people, the press for journalists, and the news media to represent actions or abilities. A body part or tool is used to stand for an action or skill. Give me a hand for help me. Lend me your ears, from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar for pay attention to me. To represent someone's work, an author's name is used to refer to their body of work. I'm studying Shakespeare instead of I'm studying Shakespeare's plays. Personification. In English literature, personification is a figure of speech where human qualities, characteristics, or actions are attributed to non-human objects, animals, or abstract ideas to create vivid imagery and deeper emotional connection for the reader. This technique makes inanimate things seem alive and relatable, such as the wind howled or time grabs you by the wrist. For example, in Thomas Gray's Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, fair signs frowned not on his humble birth, personifying an abstract concept. Key aspects of personification: human attributes. It bestows human traits such as emotions, movements, or the ability to act upon non-human subjects. Literary effect. Writers use it to make scenes more engaging, to express characters' feelings, and to create a more lively and interesting narrative. Examples: nature. The moon smiling down on us, the sky weeps, or the morning stretched its arms. Abstract ideas. Peace had deserted Devon, or melancholy marked him for her own. Animals. The little cat opened her eyes wide and grinned. How it works. By describing something non-human as if it were a person, writers can make complex ideas or emotions more accessible. For instance, saying the alarm clock yelled emphasizes its loudness in a way that the alarm clock was loud does not.